Hi guys, so from the last, HSN craft day and other items, I have so many fun new things to play with, but I have so many ideas just rolling around my mind about using your stash that, of course, I'm going to continue interspersing these things, but I will have tutorials on the items that I recently picked up, including the Anna Griffin waterfall. I just remembered that. But anyway, in today's video, I just want to show you how to make a large, I don't remember if we call these pop-up box cards, or I guess that's what we used to call them. This is something I was even making in Poway and even before that in Georgia. So, I mean, 10 years, at least 7 years, probably more like 10. But anyway, they're pop-up cards that basically make a little box, right? And then you would lay it, at least I would design mine so that they would still fit like an A2 size envelope. This one's going to be a big boy, and my inspo comes from those, but also that people have been watching a lot of my video on the previous release, and this is like 5 or 6 years ago, old video, on how to use the Crafter's Companion pop-up box for this kind of thing. I mean, I think Lawn Fawn, all these companies have them. I want to say even Die Impress had one. I'm pretty sure, like, just so many, everybody had one of these kind of die sets. But obviously, in those days, it was to make like an A2 size-ish or something that was kind of sensible, maybe 5x7 by the time you fold it. I'm sure I did a few different sizes on my own just because people do like to see them in different sizes. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it this way and I'll do it that way. This one's going to be pretty big, so when it lays out, it's going to be 7 inches. So let's think about, it's going to take a lot of your papers. That means, money and stuff. So I would make this a very special card. I just went and grabbed some paper for my stash. I was thinking about ephemera, all those things that you would want to pop in there, unless you want to die cut and do all these other things, right? Stickers, whatever you have. And so I saw this, and actually this was on top, and I'm like, oh, these are cute colors. Yeah, sure, I'll grab this paper. This is some old paper. I have Die Impress Butterfly, I guess is the set here. So there are, oh, look, I already have some cut up too. That's nice. Lots of things in here. I thought maybe one of the pop-up things, it's not really pop-up like a pop-up card. It's just when you go like this, it makes a box instead of laying flat. You saw it in the image there, hopefully. Oh, look at this paper. I just figured there's a lot of colors on here. I could use one of these sentiments like to actually be part of like the inside. I don't really have ephemera that goes along with this though, so I'm gonna look and see what I do have. I know I have tons of ephemera from different things, card kits, all that kind of stuff we can kind of throw in there. That way we can focus today on the construction, and the decorations, obviously whatever you want. But what I'm trying to say is it does take a lot of paper, so you do want this to be something that A, you're gonna send a 7-inch card or hand it to someone, and then all the paper that's going to layer up. And it just depends on how much you want to decorate, okay? So I'm going to start with black cardstock. This 12-inch cardstock only because I have it. Ooh, look, it makes my camera go crazy. I still need to pick up A2 size black cardstock. I ran out of it again because I use it all the time. I usually get it from Hobby Lobby, but they're always out, so I'll probably have to order it online, and maybe I'll get the Michaels one. Either way, extra heavyweight in the US, that means 110 pound. If it says it in GSMs, that would be like 300 or 350. GSM is really great for construction weight. That's what I always want for my card bases, for anything, really. That's what I want to buy, is like the heaviest weight. Doesn't matter what I'm doing with it, to be honest. This stuff is a little bit thinner, but I figured, you know what, we're going to matte layer these so much, I don't think it's a problem. So, numbers. What is this? Scrap paper? Sounds good. These things are so easy. That's the other thing. I'm not going to design on the Cricut, guys, because again, for this one, it would need cut lines, and I don't have that ability on Cricut. I don't pay for it, and I don't want you to have to pay for it if you use my file. But maybe there's a way for me to put some of these things so close together it's almost cut, but it's basically just 2 rectangles. I don't know. So if you can think about this box, it's a box. It has flaps that go up to cover everything, so you can put it in your envelope, or I mean, you can design it without the flaps. It can just be like a little base. That's cute too, whatever you want. Basically what we need is something that when we fold it shut is going to be 7 inches, okay, if that's what you want, 8 inches, whatever. I mean, your paper has to, actually you can make a really big one if you think about it, because you can just splice paper together. But anyway, and I want it 7 inches square is what I think, just to make it easy. If we ever end up designing an envelope for it, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to do that. I'm just saying. So maybe this should be a square shape, but that's okay. It's not. So this is what I'm thinking. Generally, I design it so that the top is the same as the bottom. So if I want 7 inches, that means 3.5 there, 3.5 here. This way, I like it to look more rectangular, so it's a little more rectangular, and then the depth. So, I mean, if you want it to be 5 and 2, it's going to be about that wide and only that thick. That's up to you guys. I think a good number for this would be 4 and 3. So 4 inches across here, and then we're going to score it and have 3 inches over here. We do need a glue tab. We're going to do 2 of these. We're going to score them, and then we're going to glue them together, okay? And we're also going to cut this. Actually, there's going to be a cut line right here. Boop. Okay. So there's some fun stuff we're going to be doing on our trimmer and all that. I will say if any of the items I'm using are still available, I'll link them in the description box. Those will be affiliate links, which means I make a small commission if you purchase items to those links. What I've been linking mostly is my Spellbinders trimmer. I love that trimmer. It's my favorite in the world. And anytime anybody, not all the time, but I do get comments from people that said, I finally went ahead and picked that up and I love it so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad, this and this. So that's always linked there in the description box. If it's an HSN link, it might be embedded in the video, but the Spellbinders trimmer, I usually link to Spellbinders. I think they carry it at scrapbook.com too, though, sometimes, so I might have it there, but link there also, but that would also, again, be in the description box. We need a glue tab. So I figured a 1/2-inch glue tab. That's always what I like to do. If you just want to max out, your A2 size paper and not mess with these things, just cut it at 8.5. I mean, you can make whatever you want, but this is going to be a piece of cardstock that is 7 by 7.5, and we're going to do that twice. Okay, times 2. Ooh, look at that math. You got your parentheses. This should be over here, but that's okay. So you want 2 of those. And then we're going to matte layer like there's no tomorrow and all that stuff. So for me, when I do the matte layering, I do it all the same, but maybe we can do something different. I usually just use the same colors, but it might be cute to mix and match. I don't know. We have all this paper, right? So lots of fun things we can do. A lot of accent colors and then really bold papers. So lots of fun, whatever you have. So let's get started. This is so easy, you guys. And then we're going to need braces. Okay, I'm going to say that right now. Inside of here, how you're going to hold your papers up. Do you want 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces? Are you going to layer up 3, levels of stuff? Whatever you want. You can put your braces in there so they're a little higher, a little lower, or put them all the same, and then just, make sure your pieces that you're adding in are higher and lower so you have, a nice box that looks dimensional. So with those, I'm going to do 4 inches and then 1/2-inch glue tabs. You don't have to do 1/2-inch glue tabs, maybe less. So 4 inches wide at least, right? We need that thing to have score lines. 4 inches here, 1/2 inch here. That says half, just so you know. So that's 5 inches by 1. I'm going to do 1 inch thick. I don't think you need them to be that much bigger. That's a good brace, by 1 inch tall. So we need 3 pieces that are 5 by 1, and we need 3 of those. Okay? So these are our numbers. You need 2 pieces that are 7 by 7.5, and then 3 pieces that are 5 by 1 inch. Okay. All right, we're gonna use this paper, guys. Let's see here. You can make up your numbers too. A lot of times I like to make things so that it just maximizes your paper. So like if it was this, maybe I'd make it 6 inches tall so I can just cut this in half and do some fun things that way. I don't know. But for right now, 7 by 7.5. So I'll do 7 this direction, 7.5, and we need 2 of those, so I will cut another one. We do have all these offcuts, so 7 by 7.5. We need 3 pieces that are 5 inches by 1, right? So this piece, I'm just going to go to 5 inches, and I'm going to cut 3 of them. So 3 braces, but however many you want. Obviously, you want some space in between your pieces, but, you can keep it kind of tight. So 1, 2, and 3. And you know what the smarter thing would have been? Was before I cut these down, to go ahead and do your score lines. Well, it was one big piece, just score line in half, score line in half, and then they would all be done at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, it was one chunk of paper, just 1/2 inch, and then cut the 1 inch pieces. But these guys are little braces. We're going to score on either side at 1/2 inch. Okay, all of them. And I am making this exactly the same because you're going to be able to kind of glue them and really make sure everything's good. So even though these are 1/2 inch, so they're 4 inches wide, and it's going to go into the box at 4 inches wide, it's not going to be a problem. They're not going to like impede each other. This paper is so thin, I'm going to do these 2 at the same time. So 1/2 inch, I think it'll go through because, like I said, this paper is quite weak. It is Recollections paper from Michaels. So again, if you're picking it up, no, it's not the heaviest weight paper. But maybe you want to, what's the word? Buy their extra heavyweight. Like make sure you're getting that kind. And 7 by 7.5. Okay, so From these two guys, we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, on the 7.5 inch side. Which side should we do first? You know what, let's do this side first. Turn it to your 7 inch side, so you're going to check, make sure this is the 7 inches. We're going to score it at 3.5. So just make that easy. It's going to be the same 3.5. Okay? I'll do the same thing with the second one. We're doing the exact same thing. On the 7 inch side, 3.5. We're going to turn it. We're going to score it at 4 inches. So this is the 7.5 inch side. We're going to score it at 4. Let's do that again. I'll be right back and we'll catch up at that same spot right now. I'm just going to score this and then I'll get another piece of black cardstock. Okay, let's do it again. On the 7 inch side, we're scoring at 3.5. We're going to turn it to the 7.5 inch side and we're going to make sure we're not using that. That is the one thing when you have a trimmer and scorer in one, okay? We're going to line up on the 7.5 inch side at 4 inches. We're not going to cut it. We're going to score at 4 inches. And then we'll also score at 7 inches. Okay? That leaves that 1/2 inch glue tab and then the sides of your box. So we're going to do this twice. We're going to glue these guys together, but we are going to get rid of this top piece. We don't need this little top piece, and we can also cut that. So do you want to cut it with scissors or do you want to cut it with this guy? So I did a whole score line. You can cut it on your trimmer if you want, okay? But we're on this top part. Remember the 3.5, 3.5. This is the bottom. This is going to be the top part. We're going to cut away this excess right here. And again, you can do this on your trimmer if you're scared, because of course I want it nice and straight. And this, I'm doing with scissors and with my hand, but whatever. And then you're also, so you have a glue tab at the base. You can imagine you're going to glue two of these guys together. A lot of times I also divot this out just so it looks nice. So just get rid of that. And this needs to be cut right down that flap. So I'm going to go ahead and score it first. There. And then I'm going to cut this. You could cut it on your trimmer, so you cut the first 3.5 inches and then score the last 3.5 inches if that's something you're interested in doing. But if not, just kind of take care and do that. Okay, and that is what this piece is going to look at. We're going to do that twice. Again, on the 7 inch side, score it at 3.5. That's all you're doing. You're going to turn it to the 7.5 inch side. You're going to score at 4 inches. You're going to score at 7 inches. Cut this portion away and cut right down here. Okay, I'm going to do that again with another piece. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, last little cut here for that other side. So you can imagine we're just going to glue two of these guys together, and that's that. I left my scoring board out right now because we're going to do a whole bunch of matte layering. If you don't want to do 2 layers of matte layer, you don't have to. I'd keep my layers so tight, like, you can barely see that there's any matte layering there, but that's just how I like to do it. I will say with these guys, I also like to kind of divot them out so they look a little nicer. So either do them all at once or, give yourself a little moment, but basically just cut that off. I'm telling you, this paper is so thin. Can you imagine stacking 3 layers of, 110 GSM and try to cut through it like this? It's not easy. Okay. But this stuff is like so flexy. Okay. So, all right, we have our 3 braces. And we have our 2 pieces that are the trickiest part of all of this. So now let's talk. We have a few things that we need to matte layer. Let me choose some papers. Because, there's some papers here that are much louder. They have a lot going on. And there's some that are more subdued. You want to do some embossing. That's always cute. I do like the look of this. Maybe we use some of that. And then what's going to happen is, as you decorate this, when the box is closed, it's going to look like this. And then these flaps are going to come down. And it's going to make like a box. So how do you want to decorate these? Do you want these to coordinate? Do you want them all different? The bottom 2 layers to coordinate? Might be my favorite way of doing this. Let's see. Butterflies, all kinds of crazy stuff, some dots. Oh, this is cute. I do like this. I think I'm just going to use a lot of that script paper, so I'll have these layers. And then, do we want to line them out? I was thinking maybe some silver paper, but then I just said silver, and of course I don't know where my silver paper is. Right now, I'm in the middle of putting my paper together, and so I have it somewhere. I think it's upstairs in a tub that I took upstairs to get it out of the way. Ooh, how about this? I have all this Anna Griffin paper. This green one. Is that weird? Like just to have some, let's do it. I like weird. Okay, let's see. I have these guys. Okay. So we have different areas to matte layer, and if you can think about it, actually if you want to, we can glue this together right now just so you can see exactly what we're doing. So let's go ahead and glue these guys together. You don't have to do this, it's just bigger and it's gonna be in the way, but that's all right. So let me go ahead and, you can glue the whole thing together and then keep it flat. It should be symmetrical, right? A lot of times I like to put the glue right on the edge just to make sure everything stays. Okay. You're just gluing one to the other. And I will say they might be a little bit off because, you know, we're eyeballing this. We're making this from scratch. We don't have dies. Sometimes dies can be a little bit off too, just if your machine kind of moved a little bit in the process of making, you know, running it through, whatever. There we go. So I like to make sure I'm right on the corner. I guess I could have just flattened it out. All right, so you have this piece. And what we want to do is decorate. You would do the exact same thing if you had the dies. You put them together just like this. The die is going to do this for you. I don't know what size that one is, but I know it's bigger. So, like I said, when they were demoing, when I saw a little clip about it, it seemed like it was about 7 inches flat. I don't know. So I'm making these numbers up. But these right here are 4 by 3.5. Both of these are 4 by 3.5, right? Actually, all 4 of these. 4 by 3.5, 4 by 3.5. Same thing here. And then these guys are going to be 3 by 3.5. These 4. So this 8.5 inch paper in one direction. You know, do you want to go ahead and just cut it down? Whatever it is. So I am going to cut 1.5 inches off just to not open the arm out because I guess I'm being a little bit lazy here. Let me just make sure that that is correct in my brain. Well, I guess I don't have to do a sit. Well, interesting. Very interesting. I was going to cut the 4-inch pieces first, you know, but we can get our matte layers. Oh, this is the other thing. I don't want it to just cover the whole thing, you know, 4 by 3.5, 4 by 3.5. I want it to be a little bit smaller than those numbers. So unfortunately, I'm probably going to go ahead and just do some cutting and not cut it all at once. So for these guys, I want them to be, let me come up with some numbers before I cut this, because now I'm starting to like, I don't know. I would write it on here. I don't know if you can tell. If this is 4 by 3.5, I like eighths. I kind of want to do quarters for you guys, but that's okay. Because of the halves, it's kind of annoying. So 3 and 7, yeah, I just sucked it up. Okay, 3 and 7/8. And 7/8 by 3.5 would be 3 and 3/8 for the background layer. So that needs to be our green paper. For me, it's gonna be the green paper. So we need 4 of those, right? For the very background, first matte layer, first matte. You need 4 of those. And then for this area, we need the 3.5 by 3. So we need pieces that are 2 and 7/8 by 3 and 3/8. And we need 4 of those. So let me cut that before we get to this. Sorry, guys. And then this is going to be such a waste of paper because this paper is like a funny size, you know, 6 by 8. So I'm just going to do something. So let's say 3 and 7/8 just to get that one cut. And then 3 and 3/8. If your paper has a certain direction, make sure you are paying attention to where you are cutting so that it comes out nicely. But as you can see, that's going to be our first matte layer and 1/8 of an inch, and they are really tight. So like, if you like something larger than that, then go larger because that is barely seeing the edge. So let me do that again. And I need 4 of that size, okay? So I will be right back with 4 of the 3 and 7/8 by 3 and 3/8. Okay, and for the little guys, I haven't cut those yet. I'm gonna cut these. Again, I'm gonna take that same paper and just cut pieces that are 2 and 7/8 by 3 and 3/8. And, you know, if you had paper that was bigger than this 6 6x8. You can definitely cut your paper here first, you know, everything 3 3/8, and then cut your other pieces, because that way those numbers are the same, right? It's easier to kind of mess with your paper at that point, but I'm gonna have to cut everything kind of the way I have to cut it, in a way that's not great, but that's okay. So for this one, for 2 7/8, I think I'll be able to get all 4 pieces from this piece of cardstock, because 2 7/8 is a little bit smaller than 3 inches, right? And then I'll be able to get the other 2 off of here, I think. Yeah, no problem, because then the other one is smaller than 4. So I'll be back. Yeah, no problem. On a 6x8 piece, you can definitely get those numbers, because they're smaller than 3 and smaller than 4 in the other direction. So it's smaller than 6x8 if you were to add those things, you know. So that works out real well. So we have all our pieces for those side pieces, right? Okay. I know the camera's acting funny because of the color, but that's all right. Okay, so for these guys, so that was our first matte layer. For the second matte layer, we need pieces for me that are just, and again, 1/8 of an inch smaller than what we have here. So 3 3/4 by 3 1/4, 4 of those, right? For the larger pieces. Again, if your paper has a certain direction, make sure you're making it so, you know, like for me, I'm saying 3 7/8 by 3 3/8. So 3 7/8 this way, you know, so 3 3/4 this way on these guys, 3 1/4 deep. So if your paper definitely has a direction, you want to think about that instead of cutting it incorrectly over here. And then the little guys, the little sections here, are going to be 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. And remember, I had mentioned if you wanted to cut it 3 1/4 first, but keep in mind that this 3 1/4 is the width. Sorry, yeah, 3 1/4. I'm like, what am I saying? It's gonna be the width, and over here it's the height. Okay, so if your paper has a direction, it's not gonna work out for you so well. So right now, to cut these guys, I'm just gonna do this willy-nilly and cut at first 3 3/4 wide. So 3 3/4 wide. And I might even keep them so that they make sense, you know, like it goes along, but you know, with the wording, but I don't know if it matters that much. And then in the other direction, 3 1/4 deep. And I just want to show you, since this has a direction, you definitely need to cut it so that the wording makes sense. On the inside, we still need more matte layers that I should have mentioned earlier. So I'm sorry, I'm going, you know how I do. I do things by the seat of my pants. When this folds over, we're going to need to matte layer the inside. So while you're cutting, you could have already cut yourself 6 matte layers in total. So you need the 4 plus 2 more for the inside. Same thing for this one. You're going to need 2 more for the inside. Same thing here. You're going to need 2 more for the inside, and then the 4 for the outside, and 2 more for the inside. Okay? But we'll talk about that when we get there. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and keep cutting these. I'm going to cut out 4 that are 3 3/4 by 3 1/4 to go in these sections, right? And then I'm going to cut 4 of them that are 2 3/4 by 3 1/4, paying attention to the layout, right? The direction of my paper. I'll be back. Okay, guys, this is very paper intensive, but it doesn't have to be. If you don't want to, I mean, if you just want to do 1 layer, then do 1 layer and the matte layer that you like. You know what I'm saying? If you like quarters, if you like 8ths, like I keep it tight, whatever it is. But I'm going to finish up this outer portion, and then we'll work on the inside flaps, okay? So, again, you could cut them all at the same time, especially if you're, you know, doing a lot of the same color. But again, when you turn those over this way, you got to make sure that your paper's facing the right way, if it has the direction. So we'll talk about those numbers again at the end. For right now, all I'm going to do is glue all these together. And again, for something like this, you know, hopefully someone keeps it, whoever you give it to, for a long time. You're going to want to make sure that it stays together for a long time. So I know for sure wet glue, unless you tear it, it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to glue those guys together, all the matte layers, and then we'll glue them down to where they need to be, okay? So I'm just going to go through and glue all these guys. I did not continue my paper. Like I said, maybe I should just continue it like from left to right and all that, but no. I just did whatever. So, you know, it is a lot of writing, right? The matte layers is going to be a lot of pink. And you can decorate these areas too if you want. You know, that's up to you. I am usually a less is more kind of person. But I will be right back. And again, I'm making this one loud. So we are having lots of color. And that's fine. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so we have all these matte layers. So let's remember what this looks like. We have those two pieces together. Super easy, super basic. You know, obviously we can do all kinds of things. We'll do whatever you want. Okay, so I'm gonna glue these guys in here. They are, again, I eyeballed these things. So, you know, when you first eyeball it, maybe this was just a little shy of 7 inches. Maybe it was just a little bit over on the 7-inch side, you know, however. So sometimes it can be a little wonky and maybe this fits somewhere else better because maybe it just does. But this is where I placed it and that's where it's gonna be. So we're gonna fill in our squares here, or rectangles, I suppose, right? So glue that there, glue one up here, corresponding areas, these guys to their corresponding areas, right? All across. So I will do that and I will be right back. I never know what's too much sometimes, like, is that belaboring? Do you guys want to see every single step? I don't know. Just checking that out. It's kind of hard to see with the black on my mat. Like this one looks crooked to me. There we go. Okay. Again, I keep very tight matte layers. So if you like bigger matte layers, so you can see more of the green, you know, more of your metallic, more of the background, whatever it is you like to do that. So I will, again, place these so that they're centered in here. The reason I'm not putting these upside down is because when you close your card, you can imagine this is all one piece. It's going to be like this. So the wording has to be the same. But when you open it, these little flaps are going to drop down. And then whatever you put here needs to be upside down, essentially, right? So you can see it nice right side up. I'll be right back. Just going to glue those down, glue those down, glue these down. And then we'll continue on. That is basically it, guys. I mean, even the dies, if you pick these up from Crafters Companion for like this larger pop-up, it's the same thing. Same thing, just matte layer. I mean, you can put it together if you want, then do your matte layers. Whatever it is that you prefer to do would be great. Maybe not knock everything over like I'm doing over here. And I will be right back. Okay, guys, so that is all stuck down, looking good. It looks really nice, feeling super sturdy. I'm sure I haven't picked it up yet. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that already feels way sturdy. So on the back side, and you can put this together if you want. Like I said, it's a symmetrical piece. So, I mean, you can glue that down, but then you're going to have to put this down to glue it, you know, on. So I'm just going to leave it open. We're going to work for these top ones. It's the same measurements. We don't have to decorate this bottom part because you're not going to see anything about that. But these little flaps come down. So again, the same measurements. I'm going to cut the lime green metallic, 2 of them, 3 7/8 by 3 3/8. 2 of these guys, or this guy. Oh, that's interesting. I just realized that paper doesn't have a background too, unless the background is yellow, I guess. You see how the color? But it doesn't have like a print like this one. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I got distracted by the back of the other one, you know, being like a yellow color. Okay, so again, our first matte layers from the lime green. I'm going to cut 2 that are 3 7/8 by 3 3/8, and then 2 that are 2 7/8 by 3 3/8. With this pretty paper, I'm going to cut 2 that are 3 3/4 by 3 1/4, and 2 that are 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. Remember, if your paper has a direction, pay attention to that, because this is the thin, you know, the 2 3/4, and then the height should be the 3 1/4. So just keep that in mind, right? So for this one, I'm going to cut at 3 1/4 and then cut the thin strips from that. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, and again, because I want my width on these larger ones to be this way, right? So always keep that in mind. So this one, 3 1/4 deep, but 3 3/4 wide. So just something to always keep in mind, your direction. So this paper definitely has a direction, in my opinion. And so there it goes. And so 3 3/4, 3 3/4. Okay. And so here are our matte layers for the inside. It goes that way, sorry, no, it goes that way. This one goes here, and we are going to glue these in upside down, okay? Because the way it's facing me. But for right now, we're just going to glue these guys together like I did the first time. So I'm just going to glue together my matte layers, and I will be right back. So just gluing this to the green. I'm keeping the green so that's all consistent, but the pattern is going to be different. That flaps down. And I'll be right back. So just glue those guys together. Okay, guys, those are all ready to go. Now, if I was to stick them down like this, just to, you know, beat a dead horse, and this opens out, it's going to be upside down. At least for me, that's upside down. So I'm going to put some glue on here, obviously, and we are going to glue them down upside down. So obviously this is facing the right way. This is the base. This guy, I'm going to turn it around and just glue it down there with that nice matte layer. Super cute. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so pretty. I was thinking maybe I fussy cut some butterflies from this paper, because the butterflies are very distinct. Upside down again. But I do have those Spellbinders butterflies. You know, we can add some here and there. Maybe that'll be fun. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how I can add those, because they're like transparent. I'm not huge on fussy cutting either. But it's an idea, guys. It's an idea. You know, you want a fussy cut, go for it. Watch a little TV, do a little something. Again, I cut this one like just a little bit smaller or something, because this one matte layers perfectly. I don't know if you can see the whole black matte layer. And this one's like very tight on some sides. But again, I just did something that was like a little bit different, you know? Okay, last one upside down. And I'm going to let these set up before we put this all together. And then we're going to put in our little braces. And that's what you stick your stuff to. So I'm going to let that sit for just a minute. And then we'll close it all up. All right, I just let that sit for a few minutes. And we're going to close this up. So basically this needs to come over here and get glued there. Much thicker than what we started with. And again, that's what I'm saying. If you're using Anna Griffin papers, your nicer Crafter Companion, whatever papers, this can be a little costly on paper, and that's fine. But you definitely want a special occasion for that. So, okay, when I close it, I can see that's a little crooked, but you know, I haven't really scored this side over here yet. So I'm going to make sure that I'm gluing it so it's completely flat here. All right. That looks good at the very base. And just give me some nice burnishings here. So your card, when the person receives it, is going to look like this. So if you want to decorate here, put some stuff that makes it look cute, obviously. That's up to you. Before I open it, I'm going to let that sit for just another little minute. Something else to think about. See how the big side's over here? When you turn this one, it's there. You want to fold it this way. So my score lines are, you know, in here. But you can do it this way so that when the person receives it, it looks like this, and you're decorating this side. It looks a little bit wonky to me because I was comparing my eye line when it was like this. But that's up to you. You know, if you want it like that and decorate so that there's something here when the person opens it. You know, actually that doesn't look too bad. Now it's growing on me. So all I did was squish it in the other direction, guys. That's it. Whatever you want. So maybe here I put like a little butterfly or something, right? Like the stickers I was talking about. So let me grab some of those. We're going to need some cute stuff. But before we get there, let's go ahead and open this and see what that looks like. And it already wants to flap down. Look at that. How cute. So see, we have these pieces. It does cover this up completely because I made them the same size. If you want to make this shorter, you can definitely do that, or this taller and this shorter, put 5 inches here, 2 inches here, or however it is that you want. When you play with those numbers, go for it. That's up to you. I did make it pretty much the same. Okay, so something to think about. If you want more of that background to show, and of course we have to train it a little bit, you would do that. Okay, make these shorter so you can see some of those underneath pieces. I'm just making this up as we went along, and I think that came out just fine. Okay. Braces. This is actually really thin. I totally forgot. I know they're thin, but like I forgot about that. You're basically just going to glue these here. So where do you want them? You know, I will say the Crafter's Companion set does put like notches. It's not a cut. That was the issue with one of the first iterations. It looked like it was a cut, and she presented it like it was a cut, but then it wasn't actually cut. I don't know. It's just what's the word? A little embossed line that you can kind of line up and see where you want to put them. Do you want to put them both so that they're back like this? One forward, one back. That's another way I like to do it because it really holds the, you know, everything, whatever it is that you want. Let's do one forward, one back. Even though that's more noticeable, right? If you're looking down there, you're going to see that one's forward and one's back. I'm just going to place them wherever I want. Maybe like 1/2 inch from the top. Kind of like here. Maybe 1 inch from the very front. And I know it looks like wonky because it's the same exactly 4 inches wide as this is. But usually what I do is I'll do that, and then which way did we have this closing? Like this. I'll close it so we can see what it's doing, and it didn't really move, and you know why? Because I have one going forward and one going backward, which is cool. So close it again. Make sure that's staying. Do you want 2 braces? Do you want 3 braces? How many rows of stuff do you want, right? Do you want to put them all level? Do you want some lower down, some higher up? You know, whatever it is. But anyway, I like to check it just like that. So I am going to still do one forward, one back, because I like the way that looks. I think for this one, I might just make 2 braces, but honestly, it's a big thing. You might want to do the 3. Now, the other one can go right behind it, like right at that 1/2 inch glue tab. Okay, maybe we'll do 3. Well, let's go ahead and put 3 anyway, just so you guys can see that. Those are about the same height. And I'll just kind of give it a little wait for that. And then I close it and see how it kind of moves. And so you just want to make sure everything's good, that it's going to stay where it needs to be. And that's kind of why I give it a quick closure so that everything goes where it needs to be. Okay, and that's why I'm not worried about the 4 inches, because it'll get where it needs to go. And again, one going forward and one going back. Fine. And like I said, they're about 1/2 inch apart, kind of right where the one glue tab ends. This next one starts, you know. They're about the same height. Okay, I'm gonna give that a little bit. I'm gonna wait a little bit because I got a little bit of extra glue over here. Okay, I waited a little bit here. Again, as you're closing it, you just want to make sure it closes and everything's good to go. I do give it a little second to score. You can also close it in the other direction if you want, just to train the whole thing. Look how cute. Actually, a card that looks like that would be really cute. Look at that. Anyway, so yeah, so I gave it one way, I gave it the other, just so that everyone is happy and we're good to go. Let me grab some decorations. I think I said I was going to cut this up. I don't know if I've already used that sentiment, but I was going to, let's plan everything around this, because this is kind of what I was thinking about doing. This guy, this one, I'm going to have a social butterfly. Cut this guy out, maybe matte layer it, pop it right in the center, and then have some other stuff. I don't know. So I'll be right back. Actually, I'm just gonna cut this, okay? I don't think we need, I think I did that in the very first tutorial for this stuff. But, you know, I always look at these things and think, okay, what would make the most sense? So for this one, I'm gonna cut it right down here. Make sure that's lined up pretty well, right? And then maybe cut the other strip this way too. Okay, not bad. And now just a couple more cuts to release this guy. And I just said, oh, we don't need a whole tutorial on it, but here we are. Okay. And right there. I'm putting it right in the center of this canal. And hopefully that works, you know, and that's pretty good. I think I'm going to matte layer it with some of the green paper just to bring that back. Ooh, look at this. Yay. That's perfect. I'm not even going to measure that. I think I'm just going to use the way it is. That looks great. And I'm just going to glue it down in just a second, but I'm just eyeballing this part, maybe like right here. Okay, I'm going to glue that together, and I'll be right back. Okay, as I have this, and I'm like, let me go grab some other things. You know, if I have this here, again, this paper is so thin, guys. Oh my gosh. You could double it up. If I have that there, I'm thinking we can even have some of these little guys. Maybe this flower and then the love. I'm going to cut those down and also matte layer them, okay? So, I mean, it looks like all this green paper that I have left here that I did not toss, of course. It's going to work out. So I'm going to cut these two out, and I'm going to matte layer them with the green paper, and I'll be right back. Which is so funny. I was like, maybe I should use this hello. And this is another piece. It's not even from the piece I was just cutting. And look at this. I love when things just work out. Okay, I'll use that piece too. Okay, guys. So, let's see. Like I said, if you want the shorter flap so you can see more of the bottom, you can definitely do that. You know, like I said, 5'2" or 4 4 and 3. I did 3.5. I just went 3.5 straight across in that first, remember the score line, but you can do something different and then just do your numbers differently, right, for your matte layers. I am afraid that this is so thin, but you know, what are you going to do? So I want to glue this on here. And since I like to use a wet glue, guys, I'm going to have to just sit here and be patient. And so I'm going to put some glue right down here. We can definitely put like a little brace on it if you think you need it, especially because, again, I start off with this paper that's And then also I want everything to be able to read, to see this top part. So I'm just looking at this. I'm going to put it on here so that you can see the wording. I'm putting it right in the center. And, you know, it could be fun. The other things I'm going to put kind of in a fun, wonky kind of way. While that one is setting up, I don't think... Oh, I eyeballed that really well because there's no glue up here. I'm going to close this up really quickly, and look how cute. I mean, I kind of like the idea of making them the same height because it covers everything up. What happens with the other ones is that if they're like this low, let's say, you know, the little flaps, you see all this stuff sticking out and it doesn't make sense because when it's laying in weird ways, it doesn't sit the way you want it to. But anyway, I think I'm going to put this hello just like right here. So again, it has some little like hello. I would say it has like some inspo, something to look at. So we can do that. I'm going to put it right down here because I'm going to add a butterfly right here. I can add whatever, you know what, maybe this one has like a lot of black, some pink, black pink, if you will. By the way, I don't know any songs that they sing, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know if my boys even listen to all that stuff. They might. So I can bring this down a little bit, but it's pretty much stuck down already, so that's all right. This has to line up with that. So this guy's too big. This guy's too big. Sorry, guys. That's what, well, I mean, I like the way that looks. Anyway, I mean, it could be over here, but I don't, no, I don't want that. Okay, let's put that back on the carrier. We'll use that somewhere else some other time. Maybe this one. Oh, this one. These things always sell out, so sorry if they're not quite available on Spellbinders. I'll link it there if they are with the, oh, that's even better. Look at that. That's so cute. Okay. So, that one, the pink really matches and everything. Okay, let's open this guy up. So again, when they receive it, it looks like this. Okay, cool. They're going to open it, and it's just going to, like, open up. I have, like, this little flower, and I was thinking about putting that one kind of in the back. I mean, it can really be any way, but I thought it's just kind of fun. You can definitely extend these, like I said. You know, I just needed this to show, like, so you can see all the words. But if you want to put some stuff back here that's like, what's the word? Suspended. I've done this where it looks like there's little bees flying around or like your butterflies. Just use a piece of acetate, like a heavier weight acetate, so it stands up, but then it's just sticking out, you know? So even this, I could put it on acetate if I wanted to. The other thing is think about when you close it, that everything's closing. Okay. I don't think it matters. I'm just going to put a little glue on this corner because I'm going to have it kind of sticking out this way. So right down in there. So when it's open completely, you do see that little flower back there. I mean, if you want to, you can even stick a butterfly on there, right? So it's just sticking out. I had one other matte layer. I was thinking about using this little guy. I don't know. Oh, maybe I will still use it. I don't really want it to block the wording, and I feel like it's going to. Oh, hold on. I could also stick it up here. No, it's still going to block the words. Maybe that guy, I'll just say it goes here somewhere. Okay, let's do that. But let's put a dimension on the back of this. And I'm going to have to figure something out for here. I didn't really plan that yet, guys. You know how that goes. Let me put some dimensionals on this. I'll be right back. Okay, so when this is open, it's like that. You know, I'm going to put this up here. I was going to put it down this other one, but I think it looks cute right here. And I was going to add a little butterfly down that area, but let's see, that same butterfly I brought out earlier. Cute. So the back, ooh, no. So the back of his wing, I want it back in here, but it stuck to my paper before I can get it there. No, come on. I'm trying to get it behind this little area, like the smallest amount. That's all I want, just the smallest bit. There we go. Oh, look at that. I didn't even judge this other side, and that's like perfect. Okay, so we have that. And we have this and this. I need something like here, right? Or even all in front there. Let me rack my brain. I'll be right back. Okay, funny enough, I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is thick enough. I might find some other stuff. I was going to take one of these and put it like on a card, like a card base, and then, or, you know, cardstock, and then cut out around it. But I think what I'm going to do is just leave it on this plastic carrier. I'm going to cut this little guy, and then I'm going to stick it to, like I said, a piece of acetate. But I'm going to find a heavier acetate. Now, it could be this packaging, you know what I'm saying? If I don't need this anymore, that will definitely work, like a piece here. Actually, let's do it right now. So I can cut a piece of this off. And you don't want to get too big, but, you know, obviously you want it to hold on. You don't want to make it too obvious. That's the whole point, right? So let's cut this little guy. We are just using stuff up, guys. Okay. Let me clean up a little bit before we do this. I'll be right back. Okay, so let me see. I would get smaller scissors here. There. So this is kind of a generous thing because we can just kind of go in here. Oh, I just cut that little piece of wing. And I'm just going to stick to the very edge. Obviously, we don't have to do like the best job. It is clear. You're not even going to see it. And with that shiny reflection on the holographic edge, it really just masks if you missed anything. When we are fussy cutting, I always cut with this hand. Like I apply pressure and I turn my project with the other hand, and that leaves it smoother than if you're going, you know, like trying to get that going. So just come across here. So I'm just going to trace this little guy, and I will be right back. Okay, guys, I'm going to use, I really want this to stay. So for me, a white glue is what's going to do it, but that's such a bummer because like I don't want to have to wait for that, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is scrape up the back of this just a little bit because it is very slick. This is slick. I mean, if you want to use hot glue or something like that, you know, go for it. I'm just going to scrape that up just so that this has something to stick to. You can definitely brace it with more than just this. You can put something behind there, especially because if you see this, the holographic paper, it's not see-through. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll also make sure that it stays by adding a little brace to that. But that's what I did. I just etched them both. Okay. And just to make this quicker, like I said, I will add a little bit of a brace. Should we use black paper? I might just use black paper, just a little bit. And again, I want this to stick right away, but it's probably not going to stick forever, but that's what the glue's for. I'm going to use this stuff. This stuff, I think it's called liner tape. What is going on here? Look at this. Oh, it's the center. I was like, what is happening? It's the center of this guy. Great. Very good. Glad that happened. I'm being sarcastic. Okay, let's take that off. I'll get that back in the center. I'm just going to cut a piece here. I'm going to use another brace too, just because I really don't want it to fall apart later. I've, you know, seen things, guys, that fall apart, so we don't want that. And put a little something like that, and then just put this on here to help that stay. But the glue is also going to do that for us. And then I'm going to glue this to the inside. And you can glue it on this side, but since I'm putting it in the front, it's going to be very visible. So I'm going to just glue it to the back side and then use this little piece of brace to help me also hold it, right? So let me see where I want this to be. Kind of sticking out like that. And when it closes this way. That's cute. Okay, so I'm going to use different things. So we're going to brace it. Some tape. Ooh, look at that. Almost exactly the size I was going for. So let's stick this kind of like out that way. You don't have to do that right now, but I'm just making it kind of fun. And then I am going to use wet glue also. You can add a little more white glue here too if you want. Just to help it stay for the long term. And again, I kind of want that like right here. That's very cute. Okay, I'm going to push that down so it stays. And it's sticking because of the glue, but look how quick that is and how cute that is, right? She's just floating there. We can close it just to make sure everything goes. Now, you can imagine if this is shorter, you see these things, and it's not too bad. a lot of times I would line things up so that it would make sense when it's here and also when you open it, so it looks cute both ways. You can send it to the person, of course, like this, right? You don't have to have the flaps up. Whatever you want. So if you want to decorate like this, so when they get it and they open it, they're going to open it anyway. Or you send it off completely closed up like this. Open it up. It's always going to open because it's going to open, right? It's going to pop open. So there you go. Decorate as much, little, decorate all the flaps. Like this came out so cute. I was a little worried because I was like, what am I going to do with it? That looks adorable. I love that. In fact, I would like to put more butterflies. So again, some stiff stuff and then just, you know, you can make them any height really. Just make sure you brace them. Whatever it is that you're putting up in the air like that. Little fairies. Oh my gosh, so cute. Anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and following my thought process. Let's talk about the numbers again really quickly. So if you're going to use them, you like the way this looks. Obviously, I'm not going to change up the numbers right now. So you're going to need 2 sheets that are 7 by 7.5. You're going to score on the 7-inch depth, I guess, at 3.5, if that's what you want to do. Maybe a little higher if you want, you know, the flaps to be different sizes. You're going to score it again at 4 inches on the 7.5-inch side and then at 7 inches. Cut that little bit away, cut right down to the score line, and then, you know, however many braces you like. I did 3. I was going to do 2, whatever it is. 5 by 1, right? And then you score them on 1/2 inch on either side so you can glue them in. Mat layers. I know this is the worst one because of the 8ths, but if you don't like 8ths, don't worry about it. Just do quarters from the original size, right? So the original size, like on this, were 3.5 by 4. So mat layer from there, right? The side ones were 3 inches wide, 3.5 deep. Okay, let's just keep that in mind. So I like my mat layers being the 4 on the outside, the 2 on the inside, 4 on the outside, 2 on the inside, right? 3 7/8 by 3 3/8, 2 7/8 by 3 3/8. The second mat layer, the decorative ones, 4 on the outside, 2 on the inside, 4 on the outside, 2 on the inside. We're 3 3/4 by 3 1/4 or 2 3/4 by 3 1/4 for the smaller guys. Just something to think about, guys. All right. This is big. It is large. It is in charge. It looks very cute. What else can you say? I'm sure this is big enough that honestly, if you made a little pocket on here and put a gift card in there, oopsie, I hit my camera. Good to go. It's holding a gift card, you know, whatever you want to do. This is a big guy. A lot of fun. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you were able to follow along and not get too lost. I think it came out really cute and everything's closing up and everything's working out. But as you see, whenever I place something, I close it just to make sure everything is, you know, okay. That it's not getting hit by something or not working out. But I love the way this came out. I think that's really cute. Real quick before I go, I do want to say, if you train this thing correctly, remember how I showed you guys at the beginning, to kind of move it around, you can close it this way and it's just fine, you know. So whatever it is, I just think it's so cute. I mean, the presentation like this looks, and look how different it looks folded the opposite way, right? The butterfly's way over here, this little guy. Okay, cool. Or you can present it like this, right? It just looks different. So whatever it is, again, when you're planning, you can definitely plan the way it looks when it's closed, the way it looks when it's open, so you have a nice look all around. But anyway, all right, guys. Bye now.